Hello everyone and welcome back where we've been talking about cybercrime. A couple of days ago we talked about viruses. Yesterday we talked about DDoS attacks. These two kind of tie in with this slide. Viruses can potentially gain control of your computer and form a botnet and then be used to do a denial of service attack. So a denial of service attack is when you attempt to kind of overload some type of either computer, some type of user, or some type of service. All of those are really just computers, devices. And the way that you end up doing that is by flooding them with like requests, with data. And a very simple approach to that is if I ping, we'll say Google, right? I'm effectively sending data to Google. Now, all I'm sending is 32 bytes of data. That's not really much to do anything. And when you really think about it, it actually takes a lot of data to accomplish this. My internet speeds here at my home, I can do about 30 down, 30 gigabits down, and about 6 gigabits up. So what that means is I can take in about 30, but only dish out about 6 myself. So even if you're targeting a single user, it's going to take more. And that's where the DDoS aspect of it comes from. Once you have multiple machines trying to do it, it's considered distributed. And these tend to be more successful because as we just said about the data, you need to be able to send out more data in order to accomplish this. But also in the event that you get caught, there's multiple people involved. And as we just saw with our virus, there are some viruses out there that could potentially take over your computer and use them for precisely this reason. Right? They link up all these computers, and then once they have these computers at their control, they can DDoS someone in particular. Now, it is important to note, in order to DDoS, you need an IP address. Most of the IP addresses that are at your disposal are servers. We're talking Amazon, we're talking Google, right? Just as you saw, I tried to ping Google. Well, guess what? Google servers and services can handle that much data. They're designed to do that. And so it's going to take a lot to overwhelm something like them. However, a single user, as I said earlier, I can take in about 30, somewhere between 30 to 50 down. I said gigabits earlier, it's megabits down, but I can only send 6 up. So, about 5 people. If 5 people tried to send me the maximum amount that they could upload all at the same time, it would overwhelm my internet and I basically couldn't do anything. But they would need my IP address in order to do that. And that's why we very conveniently didn't hand out our IP address whenever we were talking about that sort of thing. So that's going to lead us into phishing, our third and final type of cybercrime. And it's the most common, right? As we actually talked about in some previous lectures, most people have this CSI mentality that computer hackers are just typing 200 words per minute and breaking all these security protocols. And that's just really not it. Most of it comes from what we call social engineering, which is where essentially the user slips up and does something silly and hands away the information. So phishing is pretty much that. Phishing is the attempt to obtain sensitive information such as usernames, passwords, and credit card details by disguising as a trustworthy entity. Phishing is typically carried out by email spoofing and it often directs users to enter personal information at a fake website that looks and feels like a legitimate website. According to Verizon's 2017 data breach, this in my slides here, there's a link to this article. 2/3 of all malware was installed via email attachments in 2016. That's insane. We're basically saying that 2/3 of cybercrime comes from downloading email attachments, not paying attention. Oh my goodness. So I have this phishing quiz, and I'm going to throw up a link in our browser, in Twitch chat, and I want you to kind of take this phishing quiz with me. So I get it, we haven't really talked that much about phishing, but we're going to dive right in, and we want to know what do fake websites look like. We'll go ahead and get started here, and I'm going to zoom in for a moment, and this is your first example. Here is what appears to be a website. They're advertising Yahoo Mail, and we want to know, is this a phishing attempt or is it real? Help me out in chat. What do you think? What do you think?
I can't see what the email address
Help me out. Is this real? Is this a fish? I see one real. I see one fish. I see a no. We're still about 50-50. There we go. That breaks the tie. We'll get our results at the end. So we put in fish for number 1 here. Why don't we kind of track our responses as we go? Fish for number 1. Okay, here's our next one. Take a look. Looks like a banking website of some sort. And we want to know, is this a phishing attempt or is it real? See a couple of reels. We'll kind of talk about the trend here in just a moment. So I'm going to mark down real for that next one. Here's Facebook. Or is it? Help me out in chat. Is this real? Or is this a fish? Let's see, one real. Nobody else is responding. $50-50. Zuckerberg is a fish. I'll give you that. 50-50. Someone break this tie. Did you? We won't get our results until the end. All right. We're yelling fish on this, so we'll mark fish. Here's Twitter. Got a Twitter login page. Let's see real. I see fish. I see an oh heck no, which that's not one of my responses. All right, most people think it is a fish. Let's mark that down. Here is an American Airlines website. Help me out. This looks like it was made in 1998, but is it a fish? Is it real? Amazon.com. All of these look sketchy. That's kind of the point. We're thinking real on this one. PayPal. I see a reel. I see a fish. See some reels. Ooh, guys. I got a feeling that all of us are losing our information. Comcast. PayPal asking for your social. Comcast. What do we think here? Look at this. See some reels. I think they tell us all our results and stuff at the end. Look at this guy here. Amazon.com. We're thinking fish. Hulu. There's only a few more of these. This actually may be the last one. I'm seeing a lot of reels on this one. What is this? An eBay website? I like that a lot of these are trying to do these username type things. We're thinking fish. I'd agree with you. Poker. Fish, fish, fish. We are getting better without even talking about what's happening. And Dropbox. Battle.net. And I see some reels. All right, we got a lot faster there at the end. That's good. So help me out in chat. Before I really dive into these results, what were you looking for? What was the most important thing in detecting if it was a real site or if it was a phish. 100% Stanley. So this is one that we got wrong, right? This is a Yahoo Mail type of thing, but first thing they tell us, forged URL. This is supposed to be Yahoo Mail, but if we look at the URL, this is a Google Doc. It's not even a website. Kind of. They then go on to point out some grammar, some scare tactics, blah, 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 blah. If you look at another one, we got this Twitter here, right? First thing they tell us, forged URL. Even though twitter.com is a real domain, the actual domain for this phish is all09.info, right? If we look here, there's twitter.com, but you got to keep in mind that our domains are actually biggest to smallest, going from right to left. And so the end of this .info, means this is an info domain. It's not the .com domain as the typical Twitter is. So again, URL. American Airlines. Here we go. This is something to keep a lookout for, right? The lack of HTTPS doesn't automatically mean that it is a phish. All it means is it's not a secure website. Now, these days, we finally passed the threshold where majority of data being transferred around the internet is actually going through HTTPS. It is secure, meaning that the packets being transmitted between you and that website are encrypted. Their contents, their payload is encrypted. So the lack of HTTPS by itself is not an indicator that it is a phish. It is possible that the website is HTTP. Up until like 2 years ago, CodingBat was HTTP, and we were using it all the time. Now, that being said, if you get an email and the URL looks pretty legit and it's coming from a respectable website like American Airlines, well, we could easily cross-reference it. We could just do a Google search for American Airlines and see the official site and see, does the official site use HTTPS? If it does, and our attempted email is HTTP, that's enough to kind of rule it out. So again, they're pointing at the URL. That is the trend here. The best way that you can prevent some type of phishing attempt is checking out the URL. Here we have PayPal. This ain't even close, right? No HTTPS. Again, that doesn't automatically mean that it is a phish. But if we look here at this tip, the real PayPal does use HTTPS. We could cross-reference that. We could just Google PayPal and see that the website uses HTTPS. And so this attempt that's using HTTP, not secure, it's definitely a phish. Okay, there's this other stuff that's in the page, but you know, it's just so easy for us these days just to look past the URL, and because all the focus is down here. One of the things I want to kind of emphasize is phishing is successful because of multiple reasons. One being, it's just not that hard. If you have any ounce of web development in you, you can go to the actual legitimate website, right? I could go to PayPal, or I can go to Xfinity, or I can go to Amazon, and I can right click and do inspect. And here is all of the HTML code that's behind it, right? I could copy and paste that, kind of recreate some stuff, and just literally build a simulation of the website myself. Now, websites tend to be so much more than just one page, but look at all of these attempts, all these phishes, right? They're all just single, like 1 or 2 login pages. It wouldn't be that hard to go into a Google login page, look at the code behind, try to recreate something that is incredibly similar. I don't have to be exactly perfect. I mean, if you're glancing over the URL, you're definitely glancing over little inconsistencies. And then I have a mock of the login page. And that's particularly scary because if I send you some type of fake website, right? I send you a link to what looks like a PayPal login. You proceed to type in your information and hit send, and it sends that information back to me. Not only are you telling me what your PayPal stuff is, you're telling me that you have a PayPal, right? If I go through and just make like hundreds of these things and send them out, only the ones that bounce back are the ones that I need to even look at, because you're basically verifying that you have those services for me. Even if you suck at web development, that's not a big deal. You can come in and basically just take a screenshot of the page and just lay in an image with some text box, and you don't even have to have that much web development. You got something pretty close. So phishing is very prominent because it's easy. But what I want you to recognize is it ain't hacking. We're not talking about hacking here. We're talking about phishing. We're talking about social engineering, which is I'm sending something to you. It is up to you to mess up and send it back to me. There's no hacking there. But as we saw with our data, it is incredibly successful. All right, 2/3 of all viruses came from email attachments. You probably know someone. I doubt you know anyone that's had a virus recently. I doubt you know anyone that's been DDoSed. You probably know someone who has been phished on an account. It is very prevalent and is the one that we want to look out for. And it's all about checking those URLs. Okay, I know it was a short one, guys, but that's all we had left was talking about phishing. I kind of invite you to stick around for the 2:30 stream because we'll be doing something really special with the Computer Science A. We're doing our Battleship tournament where they have designed Battleship AIs, and I'm going to put them in a 16-man bracket and have them fight it out till there's one supreme Battleship AI. Thanks for tuning in today. Let's chill.